An amended complaint in the Jeffrey Epstein lawsuit being brought by the U.S. Virgin Islands against J.P. Morgan. Apparently, they were flagging Jeffrey Epstein's large withdrawals years before his conviction, saying that maybe some of this money was hush money. It was sugar daddy money. The Wall Street Journal gives us a little bit of background here. We are going to look at the filing. You can see here there are additional factual allegations about J.P. Morgan's obstruction into this. So the Wall Street Journal told us that a JP Morgan risk management team in 2006, they made notes that Epstein routinely made cash withdrawals of $40,000 to $80,000 several times a month. The Virgin Islands said that in an amended lawsuit, which we'll read, that the bank at the time, Epstein was pulling $750 a year in cash from the bank for all sorts of different things. U.S. Virgin Islands sued J.P. Morgan late last year. Suit alleges that the financier, Epstein, used the bank to pay his victims with cash and wire transfers, and basically the bank covered the whole thing up. We've already read through many filings in this lawsuit, including the complaint, but this is the amended complaint, which was just recently filed on April 12th. And you can read through the full thing, but I just want to spend a minute on some of the new additions. As we see here on page 23, they're amending the complaint. So there's already an original complaint, but they're saying, gosh, during the investigation, during this prosecution of our allegations here, we are finding new facts that we want to add into the original complaint. They say in 2006, a JP Morgan rapid response team noted that Epstein routinely made cash withdrawals in the amounts of $40,000 to $80,000 several times per month, totaling $750,000 per year. $750,000 every year. In addition, they say Mary Erdos admitted in her deposition that JP Morgan was aware that by 2006 that Epstein was accused of paying cash to have underage girls and young women brought to his home. So Mary Erdos was somebody who was also in this new information. You see, this is a picture of her. She is JP Morgan's head of asset and wealth management. She's among the bank's employees. So they're saying that she was there at JP Morgan and knew all about this stuff, was aware by 2006 that this money was for underage payments. In the years that followed, JP Morgan employees, including senior executives, emailed internally that Epstein was under investigation or had been sued for trafficking and abuse. There's an email from 2018 between Mary, the one we saw, and Jess Staley regarding a federal investigation of Epstein for trafficking. There's another 2011 email summarizing a few 2010 stories that connects Epstein to human trafficking, and that they promised to monitor the accounts and cash closely going forward. The bank is saying, are we in the middle of criminal financial transactions? Because we're not allowed to do that. You know, there are laws that say we can't do that stuff. So hopefully, one of our biggest clients, Jeffrey Epstein, and these weird cash payments that we're noticing and monitoring for fraud and all of these things, hopefully that's not going on. But they're sending emails about it. Here's another story. Here's another story. In 2011, somebody wrote a compliance memo noting that numerous articles detail various law enforcement agencies investigating Epstein for allegedly participating in trafficking and molestation, and that Epstein had settled dozens of civil lawsuits in court from his victims for undisclosed amounts. Internal emails also questioned who his clients were, circulating an article whether Epstein was even running a Ponzi scheme. The behavior was so widely known at JP Morgan that senior executives even joked about it, about Epstein's interest in young girls. In 2008, for example, Mary Erdos received an email asking her whether Epstein was at an event with Miley Cyrus. In her depo, Mary testified that JP Morgan terminated Epstein as a customer in 2013 after she became aware that the withdrawals were actual literal cash. But Epstein made substantial cash withdrawals every year he banked with JP Morgan, including more than $800,000 per year in 2004 and 2005. Millions in dollars in cash just being withdrawn and sent out. The cash activity continued in the years after Epstein's plea, though JP Morgan accepted without proof that the cash was for fuel, and landing fees. associated with his planes, even during the years when he was incarcerated and under house arrest. What do you need that $80,000 this month for? Jet fuel? Where'd you go? Good question. Miss Erdos has rightly dismissed this explanation. Redacted, 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 redacted. In 2010, JP Morgan compliance officials decided that Epstein should go from the bank. One senior compliance official reviewing the information that Epstein declared said, uh-oh, my friends, there is lots of smoke, lots of questions. And this included Epstein is alleged to have been involved in human trafficking of young girls, and law enforcement is allegedly investigating him. He's also alleged personal associate of the CEO of the investment bank, Jess Staley. Anti-money laundering operations went to a private bank risk meeting late last week requesting that we exit this relationship. Anti-money operations. Questions about whether if Epstein was exposed, if there could be serious impact. Somebody else said, the one new concerning thing is the one article about the DOJ investigating is saying they brought underage girls to the United States via a modeling agency that is owned by a guy named Brunel. Turns out the banker said, we extend Epstein a loan in regard to this agency. We gave him a loan for that. The bank gave Epstein a loan, according to the DOJ, to traffic women into the country. The writer claims that the agency is legit and that it would be hard for us to tell if they were exploited. The loan was a letter of credit provided by JP Morgan to the modeling agency. In 2004, Epstein sponsored a private bank account and credit cards for two 18-year-olds that appeared to be part of his inner entourage. One is mentioned in many of the recaps of the escapades as a willing participant. She got almost $500,000 from starting with Epstein. Both can be put in Palm Beach during 2004. They say by way of debit charges, which was where most allegations were from, he did pay other girls. Many models, no huge amounts. Sugar daddy is what this person wrote. His foundation did pay donations to the Palm Beach Police Department as the case started. A lot of money going over to the cops. The same foundation did pay monies to direct models and specialty schools like massage, culinary, on behalf of modeling actresses. All normal amounts, nothing astronomical. His business accounts fiduciary, we saw no client activity. I know his biggest client, Wexner, parted ways when he was convicted. His due diligence reports say he manages a few private clients' money, but we never know who it is. Somebody asks, I would like to know if he's managing anyone's money at this point, or is it all just his money? We saw no evidence of disbursements ever made, even in the rocky years. When the well-to-do were running to their mattresses, he did not have any distributions from his accounts at Bear or JP. He does have money at other institutions, so maybe it happened there. Where did all this money come from? One internal document describes the account of Epstein's, quote, assistant or young lady he brought over from Prague. The document describes charges in New York for lingerie and other explicit material. Elsewhere, JP Morgan in their communication describe reports referring to the fact that Epstein purchased her at age 14. She remained a customer of JP Morgan, and Epstein paid her more than $600,000 from the JP Morgan accounts. They were the bank for Epstein. More than $165,000 after Epstein's plea. A recruiter given immunity through Epstein's and their non-prosecution agreement was paid more than $728,000 from the accounts, virtually all of it after the conviction. He also transferred more than $23 million to, there she is, Ghislaine Maxwell between 1999 and 2022. $23 million for Ghislaine. That's a lot of money. That's why I was saying I can't even imagine what her lawyers cost. It was many millions of dollars for that defense. Redacted, 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 redacted. Now, there were concerns that Epstein posed that there were numerous other senior executives there at the bank, including Stephen Cutler, Mary Airdros, Catherine Keating, Jess Staley. They met in various groups. Big paragraph redacted here. And they say this is so even memos from compliance meetings and about investigations into modeling agencies and appetite for foreign underage girls, known to fly women in from Eastern Europe to Palm Beach. They say JP Morgan had information that it knew was directly relevant to the federal investigation of Epstein's trafficking, including the line of credit and the modeling agency and payments to Eastern European women and redacted. We don't know what that final sentence is there, that final word. But JP Morgan apparently was a lot more involved in the transactions than they let on. Seems like they knew a lot more about what Epstein was doing than they ever cared to admit, and the U.S. government from the Virgin Islands is now digging into that.